Hello, book lovers. I'm Lex. This is Uncle Buck, and today we're opening box 36 from Uncle Buck's library that I inherited from him. So I have no idea what's inside. We'll find out together. It is labeled China, America's Religion. And Uncle Buck was a man of many interests, so it's always curious to see what gets put into these. So, number 1. Seeds of Extinction, Jeffersonian Philanthropy and the American Indian. Ugh. That sounds terrible, but important. Diaz's The Conquest of New Spain. If I remember correctly, this is an ancient one. Yeah, this is from 1498 to 1580 time. So this is a really great, important account and talked about the use of head twisters during this time, too. It's one of the earliest reports of the use of that fungi that is used in that part of the world for mystical experiences. So this is the best spiritual writing of 2010. Those are always interesting to go through the indexes of. This is The Jesuits by Fulop Miller, and it's a history of the Society of Jesus. Interesting to put that on the spiritual pile. This is Dennett. Consciousness Explained. That is a classic in the study of consciousness. Then we have Chinese Thought from Confucius to Mao by Creel. Usually don't quite need those giant overviews of subjects. Opera 101, A Complete Guide to Learning and Loving Opera. Hello, cat. You have food. Oh, this looks good. Alexander of Macedon, A Historical Biography by Peter Green. As someone named Lex, I feel very connected to Alexander the Great. I read a bunch of his works when my first kid was born, and she was just sleeping on my chest a lot. I pounded through a lot of Russian and Greek history. Selections from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Always useful. Daily Life of the Aztecs by Jacques Soustelle. On the Daily Life of the Aztecs on the eve of the Spanish conquest. Some dark history. Important to know. From Suzuma Xian, selections from Records of the Historian. I believe this is another classic of early writing. This is a famous Chinese historian of the 1st century BC. How helpful is that if you want to learn about the Middle Kingdom? So, The Founders of America, From the Earliest Migration to the Present by Francis Jennings. So here it looks like a good history of Native Americans. Also, just to say, feel free to ask me to follow-ups on any of these books in the comments. Happy to share more if you need help tracking them down. China, A Macro History by Ray Huang. A brilliant view of Chinese history. Man, you could just read Chinese history, things about Chinese history forever, let alone the source documents. Interior Design with Feng Shui. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to open that because I have a feeling my overcomplexity maximalization scheme of decorating is not the most Feng Shui. Here's a Feng Shui handbook. Put that up there too. There. The Secret of the Golden Flower, A Chinese Book of Life. Oh, shit! And it's William's translation with the commentary by Young. Oh, this is a really important classic that I have not dived into. It's up there with the I Ching and something you need to know. And the book reveals for the first time the secrets of ancient Chinese yoga. Oh, this is such an important, influential book. Thanks, Uncle Buck. Oh, he's the best. It's an amazing taste in books that he had. And it was 66 boxes total. And, it's 2-3 years later, I'm still going through them. But he also understands I don't have that much time with 2 little kids. In fact, let's see if I can get this done before they get home. Anyway, John King Fairbank, China, A New History. Oh my God. How many books did you read about China? I bet you wish you knew exact number 2. Indians of North America by Driver. I think I've heard of this. I think this is a really excellently done. It's very big. I think this is a really good one. I'll let you know if it's not from the... Do a quick review. Genesis by Galliano. And this is about the peoples of Latin America. Okay. Yes, this is supposed to be good. Memoirs of My Nervous Illness, Daniel Paul Schreiber. This is from 1884, so this was an influential book on psychiatric hospitals and mental health that has fascinated and haunted many readers for years, including Freud and Jung and people like that, Deleuze. So that's a great classic to have. Put that here on the classics pile. I do dream of, you have my history wall right here going upstairs. Pretty cramped. I used to have it more open in our last place. And it isn't quite welcome on the family stairwell. But the dream is a true history wall where it's each of these sheets, and around is not only the images like I have, but also the books of that time period. And so you can just go through and go to original source documents. And, eventually with the AI thing, and, kind of little drones that will project things on the walls for you. You can tell I stepped in the basement when I get AI techno optimistic, but you would also have them projecting other pieces of information from that time period, movies, clips, animations, whatever, another visual digital component. And also the AI would be really good about organizing the source material too. Like for each of these little entries, you could just click and expand out into more data about what happened there. It would just be such a helpful tool. So, Popol Vuh, the definitive edition of the Mayan book of the dawn of life and the glories of gods and kings. Oh man, I do not have this, and this is a classic. I do have one copy upstairs, but I don't quite trust it. But this is supposed to be a good translation by Dennis Tedlock. Thanks, Uncle Buck. I mean, it's really great to get the spiritual classics from like a good source, good translation. You just get to go through them. That's what I read before bed, so I make sure I never miss it. Run to Failure, BP and the Making of the Deepwater Horizon Disaster. Ugh. Probably won't get to that soon, but that's an important thing to know. Let's put that over here. When Elephants Weep, The Emotional Lives of Animals by Masson and Susan McCarthy. Oh, that's great. Especially because in my graphic novel series, the elephants are the cannabinoids from the plant, and so that I'm always trying to learn more about elephants, and this is supposed to be a really good one about the emotional lives of animals. Okay, Lao Tzu's The Tao Te Ching. Okay, and a new translation based on recently discovered texts. Interesting, by Henricks. I have a few copies of this, but it's always good to have a new, especially like academic copy like this. The intros themselves are always worth it. And then you also just bibliomance the Tao Te Ching all the time. Just open it up, start leaving little notes in it so you remember stuff better, and it just helps seep it into your soul. Not to have it memorized, but I think you get a working relationship with a spiritual text that way. And the intros, I just will fill up the back with notes about all the things that I learn, and it's so fascinating. Man, Uncle Buck, this is like 4 or 5 spiritual classics in really great editions. Thank you. And Genesis, a new translation of the classic biblical stories by Stephen Mitchell. Is this like okay, I don't. Oh yeah, this is a guy who also translated the Tao Te Ching. And he has the Poetry of Rilke. Yeah. Okay, so this is him doing classical biblical stories. That's worth checking out. It's worth having around for my kids too. I do want them to know the book of Genesis. And without even blinking an eye, look at that. Box number 36 is finished. Thank you for sticking around this long. Thank you to Uncle Buck for having pristine taste. And thank you to all of these authors and writers and people who led to the creation of these books, because it is so much magic of humanity and knowledge gathered into one place. And it's really humbling to see how much there is, and just reminds you that your job is just to add a little bit more, and it'll accrete into all of these. So anyway, thanks for coming along for the ride. All right, and then we have Stuart Kaufman's At Home in the Universe, the search for the laws of self-organization and complexity. Looks like one of those stoner scientist types, which I love, but there's a lot of them. So, In the Blink of an Eye by Andrew Parker, 500 million years ago, after a long dark era, there's sudden and great flourishing of life. Oh, okay, cool, the Cambrian explosion. Interesting, that's a good science book. Put that up there. With the consciousness, sort of science pile. Michael E. Smith on the Aztecs. Oh, another opera from the Met Opera House itself. Stories of the Great Operas. Interesting. Something I know almost nothing about. Musicals was the other thing I didn't know until my thespian pirate friend taught me. But operas is like my last field of great art where I really don't have enough knowledge. I need a teacher. So this is Bard, The Odyssey of the Irish by Morgan Llewellyn. Oh, wow, that would be great. Llewellyn, it's the last name of one of my most important kids writers, kids book writers as well. Put that up in history that I want to check out. What is this? It's been glaring at me. Peter Jenkins, Across China. Okay. So, modern Chinese history book. Oh, Dickens' The Pickwick Papers. If I remember correctly, this is his first novel, and this kind of invented the form of the novel. My father loved Dickens. If you want to get put into a corner at a party by someone raving about Dickens, seek my old man. And he really is important. It's Dickens and my dad. But yeah, he's a great guy to read. Steel Bearman, The Day the Voices Stopped. Don't know what that's about. Don't feel like stopping. Oh, Thackeray's Vanity Fair. I'm reading this upstairs. I love this. This is so funny. I mean, it's a little thick. It's, 200 something years old. But it is such a great, skewering of society. Some things never change. In fact, most things never change. All right. And what is this? The Last Lion. Oh, Winston Spencer Churchill, Visions of Glory. I don't know. Man, he did a lot of shitty stuff in his life. He's an important person, no, but I'm not going to be someone who studies Shakespeare all the time. The Web That Has No Wear, Understanding Chinese Medicine by Kapchuk. Oh, that's interesting. And the Chinese pile. Another China book. China, A Concise Cultural History. Oh, by Cotterell. If it wasn't Cotterell, I wouldn't care. These short summaries, but Cotterell is really famous. A cinephile. Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World by Weatherford. I would like to read more on Khan. I'll put that up in the history to read. Oh, a nice little box set. Oh, but here's to the English-speaking peoples by Churchill. I think it isn't known enough what an academic he was. He loves writing these books. Like him and Asimov, they just couldn't stop writing. They didn't want anyone's help. They just wanted to write. I don't know how they got it done. I mean, besides the fact they probably had a lot of servants. A Search in Secret Egypt by Paul Brunton. The Spiritual Mysteries. Huh. Interesting. Philosophy of Mind in 6th Century China. Oh, Paramartha's Evolution of Consciousness. Oh, that is a really important time period. Across the World. Something about that century. Interesting. That's worth checking out.